Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello, Sandra. You are here with us today. I'm glad you're here with us. I hope you're doing okay, sweetheart. We're here for another impromptu, and my sidekick Norman is not here today. He had another appointment that he had to keep, but we're looking forward to him being back next week. But we are here live and in color, the two of us.
Hello out there, everybody.
And we're the Sawyers. I'm Tony, and this is my husband, Clifton, and we're here to talk to you again, have another conversation.
I don't know that lady. She just comes from out of the blue.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But I finally found out who she is.
Oh, okay.
And she did pretty good. She almost convinced me that I should stay with her. But she needs help. She really do. And so I'm gonna help the old girl out. She needs to learn how to ride the horse. So I'm gonna put her on the horse and let her ride. Let's go for it today.
Okay.
Something is good every time we come on.
Hello,
every time
Connie.
I see you, something that takes place good.
Yeah. Hey, Connie. I'm glad you're here, darling. I don't know what we're going to talk about. You ever have those days when you don't want to talk? That's me today. I don't really want to talk.
That. They don't want to hear that.
Well, you already told them you didn't know me. So
oh, well, that's all right. But see, I'm still here. I ain't going nowhere.
Sandra said she loves my hair. This is my hair when I could do nothing else to it but wet it.
You said nothing about mine?
And slick it down.
The thing it's gold. See that?
Thank you, darling.
I'm gonna let it grow out. I'm gonna let it grow out on the side and down the back. And put me a ponytail back there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is my hair when I can do nothing but slick it down. Thank you anyway. I'm glad you like it. Glad you like it, honey bun. And baby girl's over here on the side, and she's trying to get her treats from me. Hello, Adele. I'm glad you're here, darling.
Miss Dale, all you Wells.
Now, what are you doing?
I'm just trying to get in the picture, that thing up there.
You're in the picture. You want me to move that out so you won't be out of the picture? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to remove that then. He doesn't want to be out of the picture.
I want to see what everybody's doing.
How about that? Now,
ooh, look at that.
And I can lift the camera just a little bit. Now,
that's good.
That better?
Better.
Okay. Now you got yourself on the camera. You where you want to be. Are you ready to say something?
I am ready.
Okay. I have a video I want to show you guys today. And it's about 6 minutes, 7 minutes long.
It's good.
And it's good. I think it will be beneficial to you. And I will play it in just a second. I got to get myself together here. I think I'm going to play it like that. Let me move this other thing out of the way. This banner, I got to remove that so everybody can see it. Now, I think I'm ready. Let's see here. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm a little slow today, a little slow. Here we go. Let me know if you're able to see it, not able to see it, or hear it.
I guess the question that comes to mind is the spirituality. What is it to you these days?
The shortest way of putting it is about awakening. Awakening from the dream world of the ego mind. And that's why a lot of spiritual teachers talk about awakening from the dream. With the ego mind, we get caught up in our thoughts, our stories about what we need, what other people should do, how I'm going to keep this, all that sort of stuff. And that keeps us locked into certain ways of thinking and doing, and it obscures what I like to call our true nature, our true being. And so I see spirituality in general is ways of stepping out of what I call the ego mind. I don't think there's such a thing as ego, and we can talk about that more later maybe, but I don't think there's such a thing as ego, but there's egoic ways of thinking. And what I saw way back then was the common elements of all spiritual traditions was different practices that could help you step out of the egoic thinking and coming back to, what I call true nature.
And that this might be a good time to ask you what that is and how we can learn to identify egoic thoughts.
Yes, good. It comes from survival. So the egoic thinking is basically it's survival-based thinking, and on one level, it's I shouldn't step in front of that bus or it'll kill me, sort of thing.
Right.
But so there's physical survival, but it also gets sort of transferred into psychosocial survival. So the ego mind starts thinking, what is that person thinking of me? Are they criticizing me? Do they like me? What's the right thing to do? So we start, basically the ego mind is looking at what do I need to do in the world or stop happening, to keep things the same. But it's always looking at what do I need to do in the world ultimately to be happy. And that's the motivation of the ego mind, looking at what do I need to do in the world to be happy. And most of it is, to do with materialistic thinking. And it doesn't recognize that it is actually creating the unhappiness. It's a strange thing. The ego mind is creating discontent. And then it looks out there into the world to say, okay, how can I get rid of the discontent? And so it looks at what to do. So how to recognize it, I find two useful things for me. One is whenever the ego mind is operating, there's always a very slight sense of background mental tension. And it's because it's trying, it's wanting to get things done, and often the thoughts it's creating have their own sort of tension. So one way of recognizing it is this thought that I'm having, does it have any sort of tension associated with it, or is it just totally open and free? And the second way, which again I find helpful, is the ego mind is always insistent. It knows what to do, and that's its job. Its job is to be insistent. I mean, if the ego mind says, well, there's a bus coming at me, but I don't quite know whether it's going to hit me or not. I haven't worked out the trajectory. Maybe I'll be okay here. Maybe I won't. The ego mind is get out of the way. It's like it's got a job to do. It has to be insistent. But this spills over into our, regular daily lives. It's like, I've got to say this to this person. I must tell them this because it's really important, etc. And that's the insistency. I've got to do this. I've got to say this, or whatever it is. When you notice that insistency, I find that's a time to step back and say, maybe I'm in ego mind. So that's a good way for me. That insistency is a sign that I'm caught in egoic thinking.
So a lot of people speak of balance and harmony. Do you think that there is such a thing, of that state of mind of balance?
Oh, yes, definitely. There's several ways of thinking of balance. I mean, one, we're talking about the ego mind. We need to have a balance between the ego mind and being free of it. There's times where we need to be involved in it. It's really useful. I mean, I don't want to put the ego mind down. It's really useful. It's made us what we are. It's great. And we can spend far too much of our life in that mode of thinking. So, a lot of people may spend, all their waking time in that mode of thinking. It's basically a mode of thinking which is trying to control things. They're in that control mode of thinking. So there needs to be a balance. There needs to be times when we're in that mode of thinking where it's really useful, and times when we can step back and relax, just like, here I am. Yes, I just letting go of that particular story. The ego mind always has some particular story it's saying, and it's about, so stepping back from the ego mind is really just pausing, recognizing the story that's going on and saying, okay, I don't need to follow that thought anymore. Here I am, and just relaxing back into that beingness. That's one sense in which there needs to be a balance in terms of time. And then I think there's another sense of balance, which is when we are just back in touch with ourselves more, we are more balanced. We're not going to be so easily thrown off by things. If we're caught up in anxiety or anger or frustration or something like that, it's easy to get thrown by events. If we're just in touch with ourselves and more, just at home in ourselves, relaxed, open, we're not going to be thrown off balance so much. So it's a way of stabilizing our inner balance.
And I wonder, how can we understand the difference between these states of being, states of mind, and also those that is actually positive, being determined, assertive, resilient, trying to make something happen in a very active way?
Yes, it's a natural egoism, which, as I say, is absolutely fine. It's essential. When we're stuck in the ego, I think it comes back to those two things I was mentioning before. Is there a sense of tension in the mind or a sense of insistency? If you're just naturally in the ego functioning mode. I think there's a greater sense of clarity, there's less urgency. You're just working things out. It's like, okay, you can sit down. What do I need to do, today or something in order to achieve a certain goal? That sort of egoic thinking is fine, but that sort of egoic thinking tends to be more relaxed. It's the fixation I'm talking about, when you get
Right.
absolutely fixed on something.
How did you become a writer, Peter? And what was the intention and inspiration for writing your book, Seeds of
Yeah,
Awakening? I love that title.
right, yes. I never thought I would be a writer. As I said, I was a mathematician, and the only words mathematician ever
Okay,
writes,
guys,
QED.
I'm going to stop it right there. Let me know what you think about that so far. If you remember what was being said on there, I thought it was a really good illustration of what ego is and how ego works. The thing that caught my attention was when he mentioned that when there's a thought, you have the thought, and then there's tension behind it, making you feel like you got to do something. That was something that I thought was really, really good. Tell me what you thought of that.
Okay.
What did you think of that?
Well, when we first started out, and the brick and mortar originally found in place we started, I was all impressed to teach and talk to the church about the ego.
About the ego.
And see, the whole quest that has been actually working through me toward others is I wanted them to see what was real and what was not. Because we run across a lot of charlatans that were in the ministry, and they minister to people and they pray for them, and they do things deliberately to raise funds anyway. They get desperate.
Yeah.
And they try all kinds of gimmicks. And I didn't, I tell you like this, unraveling the ego is there's a part of you that says, I want the genuineness of what I'm doing to get out there. But the ego can also turn it around and make it the feeling and the thought that you're the only one that's doing this. And so what I decided to do during those days was invite ministers, preachers to the church, and allow them to exercise the motivation of their calling. And I never did get a chance to finish that, and I guess I wouldn't, because it's so many of them to call in. And I wanted to get every preacher that was in Greensboro to come to our church and to speak. But I found out that the ego was also in some of what I'm doing. So you can become so ungrounded by investigation that it'll cause you to side in with certain ministries and people for the benefit of your family, or the benefit of you are desiring to be known and to be popular. And so I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of glad that the virus of the pandemic has come, because there were some people in the ministry that did not need to be there, and I put myself in the same position. I don't have any problem with it. I just sense that the ego part of me had to be brought to a stop, and what percentage that was helping people in a pure way is done, and there's some more to be done.
Well, you always know too when the ego is being undone, and that is when you feel like a penny with a hole in it. You know that, and it's a sense of feeling small and insignificant. You'll know that that the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, Holy Spirit, is putting his finger on the ego and undoing that egoic identity. And that's when you feel that. You feel that insignificant. Most of us resist that. We really resist that because we want to be somebody. And I've come to realize that you're not ego-less until you're comfortable being nobody.
Right. I mentioned some time back to some of the people in the classes we used to have, I do not want to minister to people for the sake of seeing them react to the power of God or the Spirit of God, because as the dust settles, you begin to see that some of the things that we tried to do to be seen was not even necessary.
None of it really.
No, not really. It really
To
wasn't.
be seen.
So
yes.
today we are here to show you, or to talk to you, or you talk to us
Yeah.
about what we just put on the screen for a class. And it's very interesting. But I'll tell you what it will do. It will separate the wheat and the tare together. They call it. Is that what it is?
Tears.
And the tares. And you find out whether you are really. Hey, I remember a time when they asked me to preach in my first trial sermon. They asked me to preach, and I was scared, but they knew that they said that I had a lot of preaching in me, because every time in the church we testify, I'd always get up and testify with fiery things. My wife and I used to go to different people's houses and pray for certain ones and things like that. And
I followed him.
yeah, she did. I just got into it because I wanted Jesus. I wanted the real Spirit of God, and I still do, to be coming through the condition cell, whatever you want to call it, to get through to people, because it has been a long 54 years journey, and to be brought to this point where we are now has done one thing in mind, and that is he has revealed more to me of the ego. So I say it like this. If God in you ever asks for a request to be filled, God is going to fulfill it on the opposite side. And he wants you to be in the middle path of no judgment. And then let me say this to you. If there's anything more to be done about our life, our character, and the changes that need to be made, what we call drawing nigh to God, your pure self, the pure you, works on that 24/7 by presence. And see, that is what made me and my wife here lay down our axe and hammers and our nails to try to build something. But you, beloved, working by the inner witness of the Spirit, holding fast to the identity of Christ in you. Everything that happens on the outside comes from inside of you. And I had to see that.
Yeah.
We both had to see that.
Now, Vincent said this, and I like what he said. He said it's a really good video. He said, I've been practicing being silent when feeling upset. And that's good, because what you're doing when you're practicing that, Vincent, is you're giving space between the reaction and the emergency emotion that came with it. So you're putting space and distance between you, so that when you do respond, it won't be a default reaction where you're out of control. It will be more calibrated, calculated, and you'll have more clarity as to what really needs to be said. You ever been in an argument, and then after the argument is over, you thought of all the things you could have said and you wish you had said, and then you wish you could go back and say them all over again? And it's because when you were in the argument, you were so caught up with the emotion of it and the reaction of it, and you were out of control, till you couldn't bring clarity to what you really needed to express. And so then you go back, and after everything's calmed down, you realize, I should have said this, I could have said that. So that's the benefit of practicing being silent when you're feeling upset. It's not that you're suppressing anything and you're saying, I'm not going to deal with this, and you're not allowing yourself to be a doormat, but you're actually giving time for grace to arise in the situation. So I'm glad you said that. That's really good. And then Keely, hey, sweetheart, she says, I've always worried about what other people think of me. I understand that is my egoic mind. Yes, it is. And it's more than just an egoic mind. It's an egoic identity. It's a way you see Keely. And so that identification of who and what Keely is as a concept,
Mhm.
is you're noticing that there is a Keely that is worried about what people think, but that's an identification. And once it's exposed, and I gave this illustration on Tuesday about my sister. She's always been the kind who's wanted to be very healthy. She's health conscious. She watches what she eats. She's really safety to the max,
Mhm.
and to the point of being sometimes maybe frustrating and irritating to other people around her. But she said she was dealing with this thing of her blood pressure going up and down so much, and she couldn't control it by what she was doing health wise.
Mhm.
And she was doing meditation, is doing all of this, and she said she just yelled out to whatever it was. She said, I'm not going to try to help you anymore. I'm just not going to try to make you well anymore. And she said she felt a fear come up in her. And that was because she exposed an egoic identity. There is a
Mhm.
person, an identity there that was afraid and he wanted to carry out all of this health
Mhm.
thing. So, and it's not anything wrong with being health conscious, but it was an identity. This is who I am,
Mhm.
a definition of who she was. And so when she uncovered that, she said she felt the fear came up in her. So it was an identity, a mind identity that was exposed. So that's what you're dealing with, Keely. And you are coming to the place of seeing and exposing an identity.
Now, here's a statement. What are you hoping and rejoicing for? I went in the closet for years, starting from a little boy, and I never thought that that would be a prime instrument of at this moment for me to walk and use. And the reason why I went in the closet was because I needed help. It was like I was going in there because I heard somebody say, go in your closet and in your secret place. And at that time, as a little boy, I couldn't read that. So when they told me that, all of a sudden, I'm finding out that God, from the inside of me, then, let me tell you something. The profound, clear seeing of how God was in me and you on the very moment
Yeah.
your mother and father got together, you were ready.
Your mother.
Your mother, your mother and your daughter wanted you to come. They agreed to this. And see, I'm talking straight down the middle of the road with you because I don't know anything else. And I'm going to tell you something. Just because I've been that way, a lot of the churches that I would go to, they wouldn't take me in or let me in. And so what I'm saying to you is that if you walk this path of showing and seeing and understanding with clarity who the ego is, a lot of things are going to drop off of you.
Sure.
Automatic, and you
Sure.
won't have to do anything extra.
Right.
Just all of a sudden, the knowing
Yes. Yes.
and the popularity followed
Yes.
me.
Yes.
They wanted me to come into the church because they said I will prophesy and speak words of God over them.
So they helped you to build an
They
identity.
helped me to build an identity in it.
Yes.
And at this point where we are in the pandemic, that ideal of ideology of us, of me, has been wiped out. A tremendous amount of it been wiped out because I can tell when the ego is kicking it up. I get lonesome. I start seeing all about what happened to others.
Start feeling like a failure.
Yeah, wait a minute. Something just came up. I just sense it. There's somebody out there that I sense right now that's having problem with the lower part of their stomach in the area where the what do you call this? The appendix. Inflamed appendix.
Okay.
I would advise you to go to the doctor and get yourself checked out.
Checked out.
I know what that feels like. When I was a little boy, I had an attack of it and I couldn't walk.
So you're familiar with that?
I'm familiar with that. Yes. Yeah, I'm familiar with that kind of pain. And I'm telling you that God is calling you from the inside of you through these things to bring the things that you don't need and eat will be purged.
Yeah, and I think too, there is a need for the striving mechanism of the seeker
Mm-hmm.
to be dissipated or to it's like it's on some kind of overload.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's when you begin to feel like I've got to do something to get there. I've got to do something to quiet my mind. I've got to do something to fix me. And all of that brings you into more conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It just brings you into a whole lot more conflict. And so I say this, and I say it cautiously, but you don't need to do anything.
I can remember back in the church when there were people, when the music got to a certain place or the pastor would say things, they jump up and start shouting.
Yeah.
And nobody will shout but them. And I've done it. And now I know through understanding the ego what that was, wanting to be seen.
Okay.
And it's not that it's wrong or right. In my research into near-death studies the last couple of days, I run across a lot of people that have been on the other side. And when they see the true side of them, one with God, a lot of them will recognize their identity from the earth to what they are over there, what was genuine and what was not. And they'll come back changed, some of them, and some of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me share this with you again. Yeah, go ahead.
I needed to finish
Yeah,
just what I was about
Oh,
to
I'm
say.
sorry. Go ahead.
But when I say don't do anything, I'm not saying to be passive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't practice, but I am saying this, that when you come to the place which you realize that all of your effort is futile in having you or in achieving and attaining and coming to be or becoming this pure self that we're talking about, all of that is futile. And when you come to the end of that, that is when grace kicks in. So there is this initial glimpse of realization that you guys have had. All of you have had a realization of who you are, and maybe you want to hurry up and get to that. But what's happening is there has to be an establishment of that realization. Yes. And so grace is what takes you into the establishment of it.
I want you to see and experience what it's like to be on course and off course and be that something without doing anything. See, a lot of people will write on the classes here, what can I do to take care of this? Stop right there. There's nothing more you need to do to understand anything, because your true self is the real you that is the understanding capsuled in the unity and oneness of God. And you've always, this is the thing that strikes me. You and I, if we're going to say 2, 3, or 4, you and I have always been a stickler for God, even in the worst moment of our life. That part of you in the worst moment of your life is concrete, stuck and froze into nothing but your security and welfare and love.
Yes.
And there's nothing, anything, this have to be shown to you. There's nothing, anything to work for. Fasting and prayer and going into my closet now. I don't go in there now to get power from God,
get anything,
or to get more revelation of God.
You should meditate because you want to, because you go in the closet and do what you do because you want to, not because you're driven. That driving force is coming from the ego.
I used to I wake up in the morning on Sunday morning, and moonshine would be the smell in my house, in the middle bedroom to the kitchen and the front room. When I go in the kitchen to find something to eat on Sunday morning, the house and the kitchen was full. And all of a sudden, I go to my closet and I start praying for each one of them. Now, at the time, I didn't know how to pray in tongues.
You were just religious.
I was just religious. And I'll tell you another thing why I did that. I wanted my home where I lived changed to love. But what I didn't see that God's love was in every drunk. Your Lord God, I'm going to tell you the truth. I can look back now and see God in everybody's life here. And the Spirit of God is my witness. The Father is my witness inside of every one of you. There is something working in you right now. From the top of your head to the tip toe of your pantyhose. Something is working in a marvelous way. I told somebody on the phone, Miss Tiffany, this morning, I told her, I said, I look forward to hearing some of the greatest adventures that God has fixed for you, and happiness will be there at the same time.
Yeah.
You are, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. None of you guys have ever had a problem with God in your whole life.
Oh,
You never
no.
have.
You never
And you
have.
never will.
Never have. You've had a problem with yourself, but not with God. And God has never had a problem with you. So I just wanted to speak to a couple of things here, hon. Keely says, I struggle with why I'm here. What is my purpose? I used to think I'm supposed to do something great, but now I am becoming or knowing I am no one and no thing. And yes, and what you're discovering, Keely, is that we have labeled what purpose is. We've labeled purpose as something really profound and notable and commendable. But I often use this as an example. And when Mary, Jesus's mother, her only purpose was to have Jesus. That was it.
That was it.
That was it. That was our only purpose.
The person that prophesied that Jesus would come in the manger and all that, I forgot her name, but it's in the first part of Matthew in the gospel. Yeah. When she did that, I think it states in there that she left after that.
Yeah, that was her only purpose.
That was it.
And you think about Joseph.
That's right.
Mary's husband.
Yeah.
His only purpose was to raise a child that wasn't his.
Yeah, and look at it. Most men, when somebody say they get pregnant and you ain't done nothing to help impregnate them.
But it's the ego that wants something grand that everybody can see and make me feel like I'm so wonderful. So yeah, you're uncovering that you are not.
I searched around for years with the bishops and the elders, testifying on Sunday in every service 3 times a day. What God was inside of me, and I'm standing up. A lot of the wigs got knocked back sideways. I was wondering what God put me here for. You made our
church sound like it was crazy.
Oh, it was.
And it was.
It was. People fall out on the floor and kick like snakes. It
was crazy.
I've seen it crawl on the floor and twitch like a snake.
It was those kinds of services where most people come in, they say, I don't know what's going on here. I'm getting ready to go.
Yeah. And after I told the person this, the older you get in the age and philosophy of your impregnated brilliant ego,
what in the world?
You will begin to see the whole truth behind you and everybody you meet. I asked the Lord, I said, I want to know when love is doing its thing from you through me. I said, I wanted to find out how to recognize.
Who was that made that song? I want to know what love is.
Oh, Lord. I want you to show me.
Yeah. Was it Simply Red?
No, I know what you're talking about it because I listen to it all the time now and play the guitar with it.
What love is?
Yeah. Sweetheart, every time you come across anybody in a car, store, a picture on the wall,
or in your own house,
the Lord is showing you how to look past the picture and the stories and see Him. Now, you can do it if you want to by mental telepathy.
Yeah.
But the heart of God. I just told a lady who waited on me in the store this morning. I said, and I love it. I said, I'm not saying this to be noted, but I said, my wife told me that you asked about me. And I said, thank you so much. But I said, you are a heart person.
Mhm.
And I said, you have this heart in you from your grandmother. And that little girl that's standing right on the end to help put the stuff in the bag. I said, God put y'all together for you to mentor her on this job, whether she know it or not.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Your calling is your whole. Yeah, you want to make it simple? I tell you what you're calling this. Right now, being right here at the moment,
Mhm.
your calling goes in next step. When you get ready to go, when you get through here and you got to go do something, that's your calling.
Yeah, that's your purpose.
Your
That's
calling
your purpose.
your calling is the function of this life.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring this out. We talk a lot about becoming, but this part right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it says here the trying to become smothers out, or I can say conceals the already being.
Look out now.
So when I say there's nothing to do, I'm saying that you allowing yourself to simply be and not putting a label on what you be. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Okay, let's see what Benson's saying. The mind is in infinite disbelief. You don't have to do anything that makes you want to do something to become the true you. And see, this is the thing. You can't become the true you. You are already the true you. You are already the true you, but it's veiled by the becoming, trying to become.
Mhm.
The more you try to become, the further it pushes away from you what you already are. So you are everything. What, honey?
Is that a new one?
That's Myrna. Hey, Myrna. She says a foreigner sang that song. It was a
Oh
foreigner.
yeah,
But I can't remember his name.
I know those guys because I used to watch them.
Yeah.
I know it almost hit right then.
It is. Oh, it's called foreigner. He's called foreigner. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Hey, I love going up in the mountains. Watch this now. Walking the trail to find the source of a spring or a river.
I remember when we used to go hiking when we were younger. We used to love go hiking in the mountains, and we went up this.
That's it.
Yeah, we went down this steep incline and found a pretty spring.
Yes, Lord.
And man, it was so nice, but then we had trouble getting back up. We had to hold on the trees and everything to get back up.
Took us down, but wasn't nothing to get us back up. I'll tell you, talking about. I feel like my shoes gonna bust out.
I know that's right. Then one time we went so far up the mountain until we were up in the clouds.
Yeah, that was
somebody came down from the trail we were going up, and they had lost their wives. We said we better go back down.
And I'm gonna tell you the truth. I call God to come up in your consciousness, which I don't have to do, but I feel like I want to do it.
Yeah.
I speak to the God inside of you. I call the God inside of you right now, the self that has never been separated from himself, God. I call forth God to recognize the facts in you and to bring to your forefront of consciousness that he has been your mother and your father all the days of your physical life. I call God forth inside of you that is now taking care of your finances and paying things off in your life monetarily. I call God. People all the time saying the devil did this, the devil did that, but I put a stop to him in your life by saying and knowing the truth of who I'm talking to right now. I have found God on this program today, and I will keep finding him every time I talk to you. Every time I think about you, it's God thinking about you. And I just want to say thank you, Lord, for a good portion of a positive effect in these people's lives on this program today.
Yes.
I got a little excited.
Yes, you sure did.
No, I'm going to tell you the truth. It sure tastes good. I got to give me a little shot.
He likes to pop. That's the thing. He loves to pop.
See, and I got addicted to popping.
Well, that brings me to another point.
Okay,
we have gotten so used to or addicted to the habit of states coming and going. We think that being that pure true self is another state that we come into, but it is not. It is your naturalness. It is what you are without anything being different. And most of us are agitated by the state of not feeling like we're all of that.
That's right.
You don't have to feel like you're all that. You just are
know it.
all that.
Here's something it said. For what is our hope or joy or crown of rejoicing? What is our hope? Question. Are not even ye in the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ at his coming?
Yes.
You are the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth coming of Christ.
Or the only coming.
You're the only coming.
The
That's
only
right.
coming
That's
of
right.
Christ. And
You know,
Christ, this is what I came to understand just recently. I've always understood it, but
I want to say
mentally,
I'm going to say one word. Hallelujah.
yeah, I've always understood this mentally, but I really, really see it now. So when I say this, I'm not speaking from a memory of what I've learned, but I am speaking from what I actually see. When I realize that Christ is the coming together of that you believe you are as a person, that autonomous sense of self coming into union with that has always been God in you. God in man, God and man coming together is what Christ is. That's what Christ is.
The mystical side of this is said like this. God and heaven is all in, wait a minute, what I can't read my own writing.
You can't read your cold writing.
God and heaven
all encompassing
is all encompassing in one place. No more distance between you and God. No more going and coming of God. No more looking for more of God in our life or life. Light and darkness are no longer a problem. God and the Bible is all one and the same us. Any book.
Yeah, any sacred text.
Yeah,
any sacred
we
text.
are the source of each other.
So for us, we've chosen the Bible as our sacred text, but we've also branched out and expanded our awareness to incorporate a whole lot of other sacred texts because we realized truth was given. God gave truth through so many different avenues. And as Christians, we think it only came through the Bible, but it came through so many different avenues.
I got to Jesus Christ, God and us are twin flames.
Yes. One and the same flame.
Flame. The fire that burns in the tabernacle. The fire that burns in the heart. The fire that burns and purge with just being there. I hear him talking down deep in my soul.
Yeah. And this is unity consciousness that we're talking about, where you're not aware of being aware of being two all the time.
Yeah. But it don't bother you.
But even if you are, the truth is that is an illusion.
That's right.
And that there is only one acting as two.
In unity consciousness, we give God and this life a redefined potential that is now jumped off of the pages of the Bible. We are the actual fact of whatever we're reading about on a book and in paper. We are the ones that jumped out of the pages. And beingness and forgiveness operate in the same place.
And for some people, this kind of language conversation feels really abstract. They can't really get with it because it's not something that the mind it doesn't appeal to the mind. It's beyond the mind. It's beyond time. And so a lot of people will shun it because they can't relate to it. But when you listen to this and it relates to you or it resonates with you, it's because you have had an initial realization of who you are and who God is. And you're on now like a journey. And when I say journey, it's a path that hasn't been forged yet. So nobody can tell you how to get there. Nobody can tell you, but it's not a getting there. What you're actually doing is you're giving your mind understanding of what has already taken place and what is already true. And so the mind, all you're really gaining is understanding for the mind so that it won't fight against who you are.
The mystical side of what you just said capsuled like this: no more gettyness or neediness. A tisket, a tasket, what's inside my basket, a different kind of shredded wheat, and muffin is the name.
Oh my God. He comes up with all this stuff. Where's it coming from?
Oh Lord, y'all remember when we little, we used to love to watch on Saturday morning Captain Kangaroo.
That's they may not be old.
Well, that's right. Yeah, we
remember
Mr. Black and white westerns.
We remember Mr. Green Jeans,
Mr. Green Jeans,
and the
Sky King,
and the
Boston
Grandfather Clock.
Yeah.
They may not know.
They may not know about that. But look it up. Turn your computer on and ask for the Captain. What's his name?
Captain Kangaroo.
Yeah, Captain Kangaroo.
That was
we
grew up on Captain Kangaroo.
His real name was Bob Nitchin.
Yeah.
You know what?
We grew up on that and Art Linkletter.
Yeah, I like to find out the stage names of different people in music and that operate in these things. Let me tell you something.
Tell me something.
Let me tell you something.
Tell us something.
Unity,
Keely says she remembers that.
Unity consciousness will show you new ways of seeing God and all the life that you've been through in a new and different way.
Yeah.
It is the fast track function. When God is ready for you inside to experience something, don't worry about it because you're still under divine auspices.
Is there such a word?
What?
Auspices.
Yeah. How you pronounce it then?
Auspices.
No, auspices. You got it. I mean,
he makes up his own words, so you guys know that by now.
In the state of disability, potential, and power, it will reveal itself to you that no longer does God have to come and go or take care of anything in your life.
Yeah.
Because he is the only one that's been doing it all the time.
Yeah.
You're waking up. Waking up.
Yes.
You waking up to the truth of isness.
Well, I tell you, I think we're going to shut down here. I got a timekeeper over here on the side who's just bugging me. And she's saying it's too long. But anyway, we're going to take off here. I hope you've gotten something out of what we said today. I know it's a little shorter than usual. But we'll be back again on Sunday morning and at 10. And Pastor Norman will be back with us on next Thursday.
Yeah.
He just had another appointment he had to keep today. And we missed him. I told him, I'm going to miss you. But
let me share something with you right quick.
Okay.
If you look at the word Kundalini, Kundalini, the reproductive system in all of us to give birth to each other is the Holy Spirit. All right, you never heard that like that before. Because everybody thought that Father, Son, and Holy Spirit was 3 parts of God. And now we're waking up to unity, oneness. The energy that is flowing through your arms and your veins now and making your heart beat, that's God.
Yes.
That's the part that I'm telling you that he showed me that he was in as eternal life. He's inside of all of us. Now, if you get over into the ego of the brick and mortar, they'll tell you that the Holy Ghost is God and that life that's going through you is natural and it's demonic. No, it's not. Yeah. It's God. It's the real thing.
So we love you guys, and I'm glad you got something. They said they got something out of this today. Thank you, Adele. Appreciate it. Thank you, Diana. She said have a blessed day. We really enjoy talking to you guys, and we learn as we talk to you, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We really do. And it forces us to come back to.
And you know what is amazing? We get mail now from you guys out there. It ain't no telling what you got in mind to do to try to help keep this thing going with us. Yeah. And I thank you for anything that you do financially or presence, because I found God. I found God, the true God, is who I'm talking to right now.
And
Okay.
baby girl is over here. I don't know if you guys can see her, but she's giving me a fit.
Yeah, she is.
You can see her nose.
Yeah.
She is.
Look at it.
Look, just look. Oh my gosh.
Mm-mm.
Baby girl is spoiled. Thank you, Vincent. He said, enjoyed you guys. See you on Sunday.
You guys have a good day and the rest of the week, okay? We'll see you Sunday morning.
See you Sunday,
Live and in
babe.
color. Take 2 aspirins and come to see me on Tuesday. All right.
Bye, darlings.
Bye-bye.